You can't save anyone with your love. As much as you may want to, as much as you try, as much as you think that you are doing some sort of eloquent service to the world by trying to save people with your love, you ultimately cannot.
Oh, hello. We're talking about me tits.
Most of the time.
Girl on girl on girl.
You would.
Like, stop picking up the fucking hot knife.
Fucking cares?
Right on track.
Ugh.
With a lot of money, I would do great fucking things.
But not in a good way.
Yikes.
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 Yikes. Where's the realness?
Yeah. Everything you want. Immaculate experience.
Back down.
You're getting like excited.
I do actually. We need tequila. Exactly.
Just hacking a fucking dart.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We are so excited.
I'm finding ways, if you're wondering what the fuck is going on and why Kelsey just said hacking a dart in the morning. First of all, it is the morning. Kelsey and I are, well, you're not. I'm kind of in my pajamas. But I'm trying to find new ways to get Kelsey to laugh right before we start the podcast. So today I have a pen and I was like pretending to hack a dose to smoke right at the end, and that's what she said. We're not actually hacking darts.
No, but honestly, if you wanted to, I wouldn't judge you. If that's
yourself.
what felt good to you in the moment. I mean, like, you know, live your life.
Might be knocked down a few years, a little shorter.
Yeah.
By the time with the lung cancer you get, but you know, whatever.
Might be a bit of a damper, but
Treat yourself.
Again, not what we're talking about today.
Not topic. Totally off topic.
At all. But I honestly love how you are so creative and you find these wonderful ways to make me laugh to start our podcast. It's just the best. But today we are going to be talking on a topic that's pretty near and dear to both of our hearts, both of our codependent hearts. Is that you can't save anyone with your love. As much as you may want to, as much as you try, as much as you think that you are doing some sort of eloquent service to the world by trying to save people with your love, you ultimately cannot. And we're going to get into it today because it's a juicy topic. It's something that we both have walked through in our respective relationships, and not just romantic relationships, and all relationships. And we see this, savior complex all over. It's not just resigned to relationships, like it's everywhere. It's embedded into the consciousness of the collective. And it's one of the big things, I think, that keeps people really stuck and bound and not in their power. And in the club, we're all about reclaimed power. So we got to get in there and have these big conversations. So welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Nice and light way to start your day.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is an important topic though. And like you said, I would say you and I are codependent. We are recovering codependence. And you really can't save anyone with your love. And I think that is one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned. And yesterday in our club coaching call, we had Kelsey and I were sharing some of our stories about being the landing pad, we're going to call it, of somebody else's rock bottom. And when somebody's struggling around you, and whether this is like a family member, a partner, somebody in business, whatever it is, I think we have this natural human instinct to go in and to help somebody.
Sure.
And there's a difference between helping somebody and offering short-term loving support to somebody in crisis, or if something's really going on for them. Like Kelsey and I are immaculate with that. Like one of us is going through, a rough patch. We'll be like, okay, let me step in. I got you. Or, oh my God, my flight's delayed. Can you help me? Or can you show, we know that. Mm-hmm. But in general, there's this really nice balance in our relationship. And many times I have found myself in relationships where the balance is wildly off.
There is no balance.
There's no balance. And also there's a difference between, like I said, of helping somebody when they're in crisis, and a difference between somebody who's like milking, they're really in the weeds and they're milking that crisis, and it's a long ongoing thing. And obviously my history was with dating addicts, so there's a lot of crisis, a lot of chaos. And so that, coupled with my lack of knowing who I was, lack of identity, not having any direction, no purpose in my life, not knowing myself, fawning pretty much completely as a child, and disassociating, it's a perfect match to be with somebody who's highly chaotic. And there was a part of me when I was younger who learned that if I went in and tried to fix somebody, or quote unquote save somebody, or do things for people, then I received love for it. So there was this really strong neural connection, association of like, oh, me going in and over functioning, and me going in and helping somebody who either as a grown adult should be able to do this work themselves.
Totally.
Right? That was a really strong imprint that I had. So it doesn't surprise me that followed me my whole entire life, pretty much, until it didn't.
Until we realize that this is not actually producing the result that we want. In fact, it's taking us further away from it.
100%, right? It's like, if I save you then from your pain, or if I save you from your life, or if I save you from that hard thing, then I'm doing something great. But it's like the whole like teaching a man to fish versus like catching the fish for him. It sounds like a ridiculous like analogy, but it kind of is. It's like when you do something versus empower somebody to do something, or hold space for them. And I think a lot of times we don't we get ourselves into that role early on in relationships, and then we kind of create the environment and the standards that that's how it's going to be. And then sometimes if we all of a sudden aren't that, then I think sometimes we're afraid that the relationship will not have legs to stand on. And sometimes that's very scary, because if that is the truth, then the relationship no longer works, and then we have to leave, and that creates a whole nother can of worms of shit that we have to deal with, which is why people stay in the pattern.
100%. Like it becomes this very interesting like thread to be a part of as well, because like you trying to save someone else isn't actually about them. Like that's the crazy part. It's about us. Like it's about you and your discomfort in witnessing their discomfort, in witnessing their breakdown, in witnessing them in the weeds, your own inability to set boundaries around that and be in connection with your own limits. And so we go into this role of martyr and self-sacrificer, and like, my love can save them. If they need me, they can never leave me. Like, it's so dark and manipulative, and yet it has this front-facing persona of being virtuous. But if we really distill it down, it is so manipulative, so toxic, and it's the opposite of true love and true service. Because true service speaks to the sovereignty in someone else. It doesn't relate to them as though they are incompetent, incapable, a little victim. Like it doesn't see someone that way. It sees someone in their competency. It sees someone in their power and speaks to that. And I think that's the difference in our relationship, is like, even when you're holding for me or I'm holding for you, you're not relating to me as though I'm incompetent and a victim and I need saving. You're just holding the container for me to figure out my pathway through. And you're still calling forward that part of me that is sovereign, that is powerful, that is competent and capable. And you're speaking life into those parts. And I'm open and receptive enough to be able to be nourished by that exchange, that I remember. I'm like, oh yeah, I had temporary amnesia. I forgot who I was for a second there. Thanks for reminding me. And on we go. You know, but people who are in a very collapsed position, they have learned that being in this collapsed emotional position allows them to extract energy, extract attention, and cultivate this false sense of belonging and closeness. But it never nourishes them, because it's not the true thing. And they keep playing the game, hoping, well, maybe it's just, I need a different source, I need a different person. Like, And then you have a rescuer who comes in. They're like, well, I love this game. Like, I don't want to be in connection with myself. So let me focus all of my time and energy and devotion onto you and trying to fix you because you're a problem. Like, you're clearly a mess. And I clearly don't see you as competent or capable. And I see myself as superior to you. So let me come in with my tools and my awareness and my love and like my patience and all the things. And that will be the thing that changes you. And then when it doesn't, I'm going to have a really inflamed reaction to that. Or this is what happened for me. My love did actually support him in growing as a person. And once he became that more elevated version of himself, he didn't want to be with me.
Peace.
He's like, bye. Thanks. Thanks for the help.
Got what I needed, boo.
Yeah. And it was really fucking sobering to be in that experience, because not only am I losing a relationship, but like there's this deeper layer underneath it of like, oh, I thought that my covert manipulation would ensure a lifelong love ship. Like, it's actually just so dumb. Like when I think about it, I'm like, wow, like that is just so dumb.
Well, Kels, this is really relatable for people, though.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything you're saying, and everything. It's so relatable because I think there's actually a lot of innocence in that thought. Like, I know for me, I was very, I would say, immature in some ways.
Yeah.
Very, like, almost infantile in a lot of ways when it came to love and relationships that we talked about, modeled, etc. And so I think there's this genuine, when you grow up, and I think a lot of women experience this, you grow up and you realize of like, okay, well, how am I celebrated? How do people like me? They like me when I'm good. They like me when I'm pleasing people. They like me when I'm quiet. They like me when I'm helping other people. So I get a lot of reward. And so again, those neural connections are made so deeply. And so I think I see a lot of women frustrated, you and I especially, in the club and with all sorts of stuff, where they come in and they're like, I'm not receiving in my relationship. I'm not getting what I need. I feel like I'm disconnected. I feel resentful. I feel like I'm the one doing everything. But what people don't realize is like it comes from a very innocent place of wanting to help people and save people and from their own lives. But in doing that, the cost and the exchange is so high because we don't realize we're contributing to our own suffering, right? We don't realize that we have another way to do it because that imprint is so strong. So it's like the blueprint, you know, every time Kelsey and I run a new quarter in the club, we talk about the blueprint. So whether it's love or money or really, you know, sex, whatever we're talking on, there's some blueprint that's running the show. And this is where we actually go in and recode that blueprint, because if the blueprint is running as a grown adult, you will continue to do the same things, looking for love in the places and finding people who can't actually give it to you, and oftentimes have chaos or have crisis or have something in their existence that you're ultimately going to get into a relationship with that person. It's going to present itself and you're going to try to fix it, because that's how you know how to receive love. And there's this innocence. I remember for me, there was this massive frustration because I'm like, I don't get it. I'm such a good person. I'm helping people. I'm like, you know, I'm helping this person. How can they be mean to me? Or how can they not like give me what I need? I'm so confused. Like I'm giving them everything I have and I'm doing everything, you know. For me it was money. I was giving, you know, one of my boyfriends was a fucking psycho and he was a rageaholic, and I was like funding his phone bill and funding like all these things, because again, that was all coming from a place of unworthiness, that like, ooh, you know, number one, my love will change him. Maybe I can get him to stop smoking weed. Maybe I can get him to stop playing video games. Maybe I can get him to stop being an asshole to people. Like, ooh, this is fun. This is a fun project for me. So I was like doing all that, plus bleeding out money. And he was a fucking asshole. But again, I had that imprint. Friends were mean in school. And like, I was used to the like, I'll give everything. I'll get breadcrumbs back. And this is a good exchange. And my brain didn't even have access that wasn't normal, because what's running in the blueprint is quote unquote normal for us. It feels like home. Yeah. And so this is why doing this work is so important, because it doesn't matter what topic we're talking about, right? It's this, we have the blueprint running the scenes, and I think there's a lot of very unfulfilled, unhappy partnerships, and a lot of women giving everything. They're like, I hear this, I gave it everything. I gave the relationship everything. I gave him everything. And I just feel like bone dry with what I got back. And I'm like, and then we dive into what the standards were, and, they're doing it all from a place of like innocence, but not realizing how they're actually contributing unconsciously to that dynamic. And there's a part of them that hates it, and there's a part of them that loves it.
Yeah, and you're so right. Like, it does always have that innocent origin of like, it's good to be a genuine person who wants to see people happy and healthy and thriving, of course. But also, like, it's not your job as a romantic partner to facilitate that transformation for somebody. Like, I think that's the distinction here. Like, because we are in a helping profession, like, we help people all the time, but there is a very clear agreement around that. There's a very clear exchange that is outlined before we ever enter into the contract. Whereas when this happens in romantic relationships, it's a covert contract that's being made. Like, they don't know that they are making that contract with you.
I'll give you everything, and you owe me this, and this, but I'll never tell you. And then will sulk when you don't give it to me, and I'll withdraw love and sex, and I won't tell you, but I shall punish you silently behind the scenes.
Yeah, and we can see how like a relationship can dissolve so quickly when these patterns are in play. Like, because there is this very conditional giving that's also present. When you think your love can save them, you think that if I give you this, it will equal your transformation, and then once you've transformed, then you can give me this. But no one's ever being upfront about what they actually need and their actual capacity and their actual like willingness to play that game. Because I think, a lot could transform, even if you wanted to play that game. If you brought that game out of the shadows and brought it into the light and made that your relational agreement and just said, okay, this is the game we're going to play together. I'm going to help you through this period of time where it's really hard. You're going to transform, and then you're going to give me love, affection, attention, belonging. I'm willing to play that game with you. Are you willing to play that game with me? Now, you will, like, a lot of people will be like, fuck no. But you might find someone be like, okay. And then once you have that clear agreement, all of a sudden there is no more covert energy, and it's clean. And, maybe some relationships could work that way. I don't know. It's not the agreement that I would want to be making necessarily. But the point is, if you take it out of the shadows, it already is an upgrade. And you're already being more responsible for the game you're playing, for the energy that you're bringing, and for your needs to be out in the open. Because, if you're playing a game where you're literally hiding your needs behind this virtuous identity of being a helper, and like, my love, I'm going to pour everything into this person. What I end up hearing a lot as a relational teacher is like the flip side of the partner who's been poured into, and their persistent complaint is like, I never asked you to do that. Like, you did that because you wanted to. I didn't ask you to do that. And it's true. They did not ask for that. And so again, it comes down to like our own selfish intention. Like, we want to do that for ourselves to make ourselves feel better. It was never really about them getting better. It was about us feeling more comfortable holding discord, because we don't want to hold it, and so we try and get out of it fast. And like, the best way is like, make the other person your project.
Oh yeah, this reminds me of, I've got quite a few clients who've had like grew up in households with alcoholic parents, or with people who had a lot of chaos, and they learned at a very young age to, they walked on eggshells, they read, they were hypervigilant, they watched people's reactions and actions, and then really at the end of the day, a lot of times when people find themselves codependent later and basically saying, I need you to be okay so that I can be okay, is coming down to safety and feeling safe themselves. And so I didn't realize, and I love speaking to this now, you and I do this, I think, really well in the club as well, is helping people see that, like, there's a part of you who's looking for safety. You're basically saying, I can't handle this person in my life being uncomfortable, upset, angry at me, explosive, whatever it is. So I need to change it fast.
Yeah.
Because somewhere deep down, I'm placing a bet that my safety is dependent on their mood.
Sure.
Right? And so this is, I find a lot of like the start of these patterns is being like, oh my gosh, this person is going to, like, I'll ask people, I'm like, okay, so what are you afraid of? They're like, well, they're going to have a big meltdown and it's going to be explosive. I'm like, okay, so then what? Well, I don't know. They could go off and they could, they could do something. They could go and, do something bad, or they could go and, and we've even heard it to the extent of people, like people's concerns about people committing suicide. And like, when somebody's really spiraling, it's hard. And believe me, I lived with somebody where at any moment, the reality of them dying was very high, right? When you're off using in your very high risk environments, using drugs and and consistently, it is the most out of control feeling because you don't, like, for me, I was like, I don't have control. They could just leave any night and they could just not show up the next day. And there was moments when police were involved and all sorts of crazy shit. I remember thinking, like, I was in this, I can't remember, not an Al-Anon, but it was like something for recovery. It was like this program that I was in, and I remember sitting there and there was a woman saying, you have to let the addict fall, and you have to let them hit their bottom, and you have to let them, like, if they call you in the middle of the night and they need money, or if they need a home to sleep in, like, you have to say no. And I remember thinking, like, what the fuck is wrong with you bitches? Like, meaning at the time I was very unconscious to, like, myself and my patterns, but I was like, how could you do that to somebody?
That's so unloving.
That's so unloving. That's so cruel. That's so mean. That's like the meanest thing. I remember myself judging the shit out of them because I was like, you guys are fucking bitches. And I bet you your poor sons or partners, I was thinking, like, again, Savior me was like, oh, I would never do that. How dare you?
Dare you?
How dare you? And of course, there's nuance to everything. Kelsey and I are all big about that. But I think that it is very important. Like, I'm in a very big let them era right now. Yeah. Whether it's him or her or whatever, like, I'm like, if she's gonna have a meltdown, then let her.
Yeah.
And can you still be okay? And can you still, your job in that moment is to take care of yourself. Put your hands on your body, do some fucking meditation, yell, scream, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, to show yourself that you're safe, because we have to retrain your body and brain to sit with discomfort, to sit with somebody being angry at you, and update your body that you don't need that person. You're not 5 anymore, right? Or you're not 12. You don't need that person to survive. You're a grown, sovereign person now. And that's, again, why we created the club, is because we were realizing with change and transformation in this industry that there's a lot of missing pieces in that to actually create long-lasting, long-term success and a complete identity upgrade, and actually, like, feel that on a day-to-day basis. And so I think you and I both having our, like, dark night of the soul gazillion codependent relationships and feeling totally out of control has helped us bring women into their power, because when you're feeling powerful, you're like, number one, you wouldn't get yourself into a relationship with somebody who has a lot of the chaos and a lot of those dumpster fire things. And even if you did, you would know it would be a very quick exit if you found, like, you know what, that's not what I'm looking for, right? It's just like, it's this, you don't become an energetic match for it, and or you allow people to do what they're going to do, knowing that, they have their own destiny. Like, we were saying this the other day, that, like, we can get into, like, a God complex when we're in that savior energy, where we're like, well, I can save them, and I know what's best for them, and I need to keep, like, being the landing pad so they never crash, because I'm more resource. Like, I see a lot of the women reasoning with themselves, being like, well, I'm in personal development, I know so much more, and I can help them, and I can get them into the course, and if I just get them to listen to this podcast, okay, I'm going to give them all the books. And I'm like, just stop. Because number one, like you said, they're going to feel like, I didn't ask for this, right? I don't want it. And if you don't like it in your life, as a, if you're a woman and you're like, I don't like this, and I keep wanting my partner to change, you have to get very honest about, why, and is this a good relationship for you? Because when we're constantly trying to change somebody, it actually totally fucks with the polarity in the relationship, turns it oftentimes into like a mother-son dynamic, or, do you know what I mean? It's a parent-child dynamic.
Yeah.
And then we end up spinning our wheels being like, well, why am I so unfulfilled? And it's like, well, you haven't been taking care of yourself. You are bleeding into something to somebody that really doesn't have an invested interest in change. Because again, if everything's spoon-fed to somebody, they don't value it, and they also know that the transformation was never themselves. So we're not actually empowering them, we're disempowering them, and we're treating them like, I remember one of the counselors saying to me, like, what if you were to treat him like he's capable?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, my head was about to pop, and I was like,
You're like, what? Capable what?
No, I was
way.
like,
you don't know him.
But he's not capable. But it's even looking of like, why would I want to be in relationship with a man who's not capable of doing these things by themselves?
Yeah.
And I also had to look at like, okay, Christine, if you're pointing the fingers out about somebody not being capable and trying to fix them, where are you not being capable in your life? Because if I notice this for myself, if I'm focused on what somebody else is not doing, it's oftentimes because I'm not doing it myself. Or there's an area that needs some cleanup. And that was one of the biggest things where I was like, oh, I'm just noticing like them, and they're not self-actualizing. They're not doing this thing. And I was like, oh my God, Christine, fuck, turn it back on you. Get intimate with yourself. And this is even why we created the pleasure challenge that just started today. It is because when you're infusing awareness, presence, pleasure, things that feel good, you're in touch with yourself, you're not out looking to fix people, and you're not out looking to do that. You're like well nourished, and you're coming alive, and you're falling back in love with yourself and your life through the things that make you feel good, and all that amplifies, and you feel juicy, and your vibration raises, and you just feel powerful. And that's why we're like, no, you gotta be in touch with your internal and external state, and noticing like what's there. So anyways,
I love it. And, something that I am really present to as you're saying all of this is like, I think one of the biggest traps we get into, and like why we get caught in that cycle a lot of the time, is because we have such a dysfunctional relationship with death and such a dysfunctional relationship with endings. And we're trying to prevent the pain that comes from an ending. So whether it's like, I need to stage an intervention to prevent their death.
Yep.
Or I am needing to essentially like mold myself into a pretzel so that I can maintain this relationship, so I don't have to deal with the ending, the death of this relationship, and feel the grief of it. Like, it comes down to our inability to hold endings. And like, the world in general is pretty shit at this. I think it's a big part of why codependency is so rampant. Like, you can't be codependent and also be in right relationship with death. Like, if you're in right relationship with death, even just you with you, you're like, okay, I know that I have a limited amount of time on this planet. And when I come into right relationship with that, it changes my perspective. Because when I make contact with, there is an end date here. And how do I want to spend and invest the time that I have? Do I really want to invest it with someone who I see as incapable and incompetent and is a dumpster fire of a human being? Probably not. Like, if I had it all my way and I'm like, I know this is like, what if tomorrow's my last day on the planet? Is this how I want to invest my energy? No. What do I want to invest it into? Probably relationships that are reciprocal, relationships that are balanced, relationships where, yeah, you can go through hard seasons, but there isn't like this pulling on each other, or this unconscious game that you're playing with each other of like, parent-child. Because like you said, that kills all polarity in a relationship. The majority of couples who have stopped having sex, it's because one of them is playing the parent and one of them is playing the child.
Yeah.
And it's usually the woman is the mother and the man is the son. Like, for some reason, like when the man goes into daddy and she goes into little girl, for some reason, like those dynamics can work a little bit longer.
Little kinkier.
It's a little kinkier, yeah. And and those don't necessarily last either, but they last a little bit longer before they start to feel really dysfunctional.
Yep.
And when we get into those spots, like, of course it kills all sexual desire and energy. Like, you don't want to fuck your parent.
No.
Like, gross.
No.
And so we can understand how this really sets up a lot of relationships to go to die. And not every relationship you have is supposed to be endgame. If it was, the very first relationship you ever have would be the only one you ever have. But like, we are meant to learn and grow and evolve through our relational experiences. And you may have, a couple relationships in your lifetime. You might have a lot of relationships in your lifetime. It just depends what your soul is here to learn and experience. But the more that we, I think, resist endings and we resist death, the higher probability we have to get caught in these codependent frameworks, and we plug our life force into a mediocre relationship where we're not being challenged, or we're playing out these very unhealthy savior victim dynamics, and we literally waste our life force. We waste our life away, because you can't create powerfully in other areas of your life if you're running a game like this in the back end of your relationships. You can't. Like, it's just not possible. And like, I see this when people have like big levels of success, like money wise, and people think like, oh, they must have it all. But like, if you go into those relationships that they have, they are horrendous a lot of the time. When you have this pattern running of like, well, I'm gonna abandon myself in order to save this person and build them up. And yeah, maybe they do get very successful, but the relationship is still built on that foundation. And so you still see like there's massive disconnection there. There's a lot of drama there. And you can tell the difference between someone who's built their empire from a place of integrity versus someone who hasn't. And it shows in their face. It shows in the life behind their eyes. Because someone who's built it based on integrity will be vibrant. They will be alive. Their skin will be glowing. Like, there's a sparkle and a twinkle and an expansiveness to their energy. I think about one of my close friends who is an incredible philanthropist and very successful in what he's accomplished in his lifetime. And he is the kindest person I have ever met. Mm. And when I met him, I think he was in his mid 40s and I was 30. And so now he's, got to be close to 60 and still looks the same. Like, curly blonde hair, vibrant eyes, like he's alive because he won't play those codependent games. He's not in the business of rescuing people, even though he's a philanthropist. So like, philanthropy is about giving and like contributing, and that's a really powerful thing, but it's not done from this space of the people that I give to I see as incompetent. It's more like the people I give to I see as very competent and they need some support in being able to self-actualize, but like, I'm not going to hold their hand and baby them the whole way through. Like, they have to take some personal responsibility and accountability in the fact that they're showing up to utilize these resources in a really powerful way. And so like, it's such a beautiful example of like, when you do create a life that feels good for you to be in, like, what you end up creating is a reflection of that. So if we're depleted, like, yeah, you can still achieve great wealth by being an asshole, being depleted. Like, you can do that, but there's a massive cost to it. Like, you lack the depth and fulfillment and meaning and significance. It's hollow and empty. Versus when you build it from a place of pleasure and nourishment and following what feels good And if you're truly following what feels good, it doesn't feel good to see someone as incompetent and incapable and a victim. You're like, why would I ever see you that way? Do you not see your own magnificence? And this can be a trap for women too, of like seeing someone's magnificence and seeing their potential and speaking life into it. I think that's a really beautiful thing. And if you notice, within the first 6 months of your relationship, that you speaking life into those parts of him, or her or them or whatever, like it's not actually a reciprocal system, meaning they aren't speaking the same amount of life into you, and they don't see your potentiality and call you into that, you're dealing with a mismatched system. You're dealing with a dynamic that down the line is going to get very messy. But you got to give it some time to see, like, is this a reciprocal dynamic here? And like, if you build your relationships from a place of pleasure, and like you enter into a relationship already feeling good, like the baseline of your life, you're like, I fucking love my life. I love my life. It's so great. And when someone comes into that vortex, it's going to be very clear, very fast, if they are a vibrational match to that. And if they aren't, they will literally be spit out. The universe, the energy of you and the collaboration of that energy will be so dissonant that they'll ghost you. They'll disappear. Like something will happen, but they will be taken out because they can't, you're not meeting on compatible frequencies. And so to me, like, it's such a no-brainer to build a life that feels good to be in, to build in these pleasure muscles so that we can step out of these very old codependent patterns that have been downloaded into us, we've inherited them, we've seen them modeled. Like, you have sovereign choice. And just because that's in your blueprint doesn't mean that that's what you have to keep running. But you have to make a choice to change. You have to be willing to meet those edges of death in yourself. You literally have to be willing to die and be reborn again and again and again. This is why we talk about reinvention so much in the club. Reinvention is that process of letting old identities die so that truer expressions of you can be explored and they can emerge. Because it's not like you have to find them. They're always there. You just have to remember. You just have to like take down the armor so that they can emerge. And pleasure is one of the quickest pathways I have found for that alchemy to happen. And when you feel good in your life, you make more choices that amplify what feels good. It's just a beautiful, beautiful practice to be a part of. And then if you meet someone else who also lives their life that way, what you can create is so powerful. Like, look at you and me. Like, we both generate our individual lives that way. So coming together to build Club Unhinged has been a fucking delight. And what we've done in just over a year's time is pretty extraordinary. And it's felt as easy as breathing, even in those times where it was like, oh, that didn't work, or like, oh, yeah, we should adjust that. Like, but our partnership is so strong because we both have a personal responsibility to taking care of our woman, of following what feels good and really taking care of ourselves and like having that powerful relationship to pleasure. And so I'm well resourced the majority of the time. So are you. So when we have to navigate tough conversations, or if we see something differently, or we have different ideas of how it should go, those become collaboration conversations. I've never had an experience of you where I can't bring something to you. And, I'm like, there's like old stuff that can come up sometimes, like, oh, she's gonna hate me, like, she's gonna be so mad at me. I said yes to this, but now it doesn't feel like a yes anymore. But you always meet me with such grace and curiosity and understanding, and that can only happen when we've unhooked from these codependent patterns and built in a baseline of what feels good individually. So it's really the gift that keeps on giving. And, we want you to get out of that spot of thinking that you can save someone with your love instead of, well, how would I love myself? And I go out and I practice being a contribution in dynamics where there is some sort of agreement around that. Whether it's with clients, your business, your art, like there are so many ways to like contribute that energy that is much more productive than playing these covert games in your relationships. End of my TED Talk.
Obsessed with your TED Talk. It's so true. And even the thing we're doing in the challenge right now, like listen to your first audio today, and I was like, oh my God, I fucking love these challenges.
I know, they're so good.
And they're not even like challenges. Like, this is the funny thing. I'm like, they're like experiments and experiences where every single day you're just being reminded. Like, even listening to your one this morning, we just started today. You can still join us if you want. We'll link it in the show notes. But like, every single day for 30 days, waking up and having me or you in the ear, and just like, I love it when yours drop, because I'm like, I get to put it in my ear and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, right, like it's just reminding me, because the brain, it's just the way the brain works. It likes to focus on things that are negative. It likes to pull us back into patterns. It likes us to, oh, I'm so busy, and all these like very old stories that are not serving us. And so having these simple reminders to follow what feels good, and knowing that like, and if you're like, why do I care if I feel good? I mean, number one, like, it's a weird question, because like, you want
weird question.
You want to feel good, but sometimes people need to know the why. Like, I remember when I was teaching, when I owned the fitness studio, and I would explain why something was important. Like, I was like, okay, well, if I just tell you this cue, like, okay, well, raise your hip. They're like, in a side plank, it's like, okay, but I'm like, okay, rotate the left hip forward. Okay, now elevate your right hips up to the sky. Now, when you do this, you're instantly like activating your oblique muscles. When you do that, that's going to like, offer insane strength. So when you're skiing and you're snowboarding and you're doing all these things and you're hiking, you're going to have a really strong core where you're lifting your kids up, and all of a sudden people are like, okay, well, I want to fucking lift my hip up. And so with this pleasure challenge, it can almost feel like a luxury sometimes when you're very busy or you have a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, I'm like, do you know what manifestation is? People are like, yes, I need to raise my vibration, or I need to manifest money. I'm like, okay, great. So pleasure is like the foundation and the breeding ground for epic things, synchronicities, intuition to start to unlock, coming into contact with yourself, having fun, playing. All of that is like high vibrational frequencies that are attracting all of your experiences to you. Whether you were looking for a relationship, whether you're looking to like, get more money, whether you're looking for clarity and new ideas, like think of this as your like foundational vibrational baseline that helps all of those things become so much fucking easier. And you're magnetic when you're in that state where you're having fun and you're like microdosing pleasure into your life, and you're just like, oh my God, pleasure exists actually everywhere. It's all around me. It's just, again, think of like when somebody says, think of white cars, or like, go look for white cars, and you're like driving, you're like, oh my God, they're everywhere. It's not because anything changed, it's because you're looking for it. You're seeking it. And so we can actually train our subconscious to start looking for the things that we love, looking for things to bring us pleasure, looking for things that bring us into a state of gratitude, looking for things that are working. Because like I said, there's a million things fucking working. There's a million things happening every single day that are amazing. We're missing them though, because we're in the story it's like our subconscious mind, if we don't reprogram it, puts us into like a lull. It's like a sleep. It's like we're 95% unconscious beings day to day if we're not actively doing things, and very simple things that bring us back into presence. And pleasure does that. And when you do that, again, you're raising your vibration, and then everything starts life starts getting a lot easier. You reverse age. Like, I'm telling you, the amount of people who are like, oh my God, you look so like vibrant. You have this like you said, this sparkle. It's like, I'm like have a reversed age. My body's gotten in way better shape since I've been building the club and doing this work. It's like everything just starts to feel better and look better, and you're just more like, you can really notice it right now in the collective when people are sort of like sleepwalking, and you notice when somebody is like walking down the street with like authority and power and presence and magnetism, and you're like, what do they have? Because I want that.
I want it.
And the way they're handling conversations, and it's just like this, and it can actually be, I think the cool thing is the way that we teach is, you know, I think about this a lot of like, there's so many people out there, there's so much personal development, there's so much spirituality, there's all these relational teachings. What makes us so different? And I'm like, we make it fun and simple and easy to implement, and like we've done so much work ourselves that we really know the pathway. It's like there's no bullshit. Like when people go off-roading in the club, we're like, no, get back here, and this is the thing. And we make it pleasurable to learn.
Yeah.
It's not this long arduous, there's not these long arduous routines, and there's not this dense heavy stuff that we, you know, it needs to be this like long process. And I think that's why a lot of people avoid change and reinvention of these lives they know they want to live. And like you said, we don't know how much sand we have in the hourglass of our lives. So living life trying to save somebody, or ignoring yourself, or not living in circumstances that you're, frankly, in my opinion, should be obsessed with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want a good life. I don't want, first of all, I don't want a dumpster fire life. I don't want a good life. I want a life, and I think that's really what we're doing, is helping people design lives intentionally that they're obsessed with.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I know I
Why
got
would
trouble.
you want to do anything else?
Years ago, remember how much trouble I got in? I'm like, obsessed, and she's like, you cannot use that word. No Hot Wheels fire branding and no obsessed. And I was like, no, I'm obsessed. I love it.
That's me. That's my authentic expression.
Yeah, I love it. And so I think that is like, I went paddleboarding last night, and I was like looking around, and I was like, this is a life I'm like obsessed with. Mm-hmm. You know, I've got my boyfriend there, I'm paddleboarding, it is silent, it's just ocean and like rocks and forests, and I'm like, this to me, I'm obsessed with. Like, I have the freedom. And I did a little voice note, and then I was wearing a life jacket, and I sent like a screenshot where I'm like doing like a peace sign, and I was like, this is me working, I'm about to go paddleboarding, but I was like, this is a life and a business I'm obsessed with, that we can be on the go, living anywhere, doing anything, traveling, and we can still show up, we can still serve, and we can still have the best fucking time while still making money, and while still, you know, like teaching other people to do the same. So this life, we can't save people with our love. We can only double down and invest in ourselves. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, we attract the things that are really in alignment with who we are.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in that work, 17 out of 10 recommend you get into the Pleasure Challenge.
And apply for the club.
Because this is really the work that we do. We help you reinvent from like a cellular level and from the ground up. So you're building these lives. And we have seen, I mean, look at the call yesterday with like the women who were just on fire, like just having big breakthroughs and stepping into the unknown and like doing it in an incredible way, and leaving relationships and work and reinventing new ones and things that are more authentically aligned with them. And I don't know, it's so fucking cool, and it's fun. And that's the best part of it, is that like we make it really, really fun. So
yes. 100 times yes. If it feels good, do it. That's literally my motto in life. And
totally.
I just keep following what feels good and honoring, and that it's a very big honoring sort of devotion. It's not like, oh, what feels good, instant gratification. It's like, what feels good for the sustained build of my life. And if you don't have a vision for where you're going, you're just going to keep going in circles, you know, and call that a life. And personally, I don't think that is really what most of us are designed to do. I think a lot of us are actually designed to create an extraordinary life. See how good it can get. Like, that's one of my favorite questions, like, how good can it get? Like this or something better. But like, show me, how good can it get today? Totally. And it's a complete different paradigm. Like, even just saying that, I feel the tectonic shift in my energetic field. I feel the opening of my heart just in saying those words, because our words are spells. They are casting your life. by what you're saying and what you're focused on. And so when we change the orientation to be one of pleasure, like, well, show me how good it can get today. And then your subconscious is like, thank you, finally giving me a command that is like exciting and enjoyable. Like, it's new, it's delicious. Like, and so it will find evidence for you. But if you keep saying, like, why is life so shitty and why does life not work for me? Your subconscious is getting that command. And it's like, okay, well, that's the evidence you want, so I'll go collect that for you today. And then you feel shitty. And you feel collapsed. And you're like, oh, why isn't anything working out for me? Well, you want like more expanded results, start asking better questions. Start giving yourself better commands. Like, your mind is a machine that's in service to your soul, not the other way around. And so your soul has to be in the driver's seat, and it needs to give the mind the command to follow what feels good. Like, mind, go to work and find evidence today of how good it can get. Like, what actually feels good to me today. And you make that a habit. This is, I think, why we do these 30-day challenges, is because it locks us into a habitual way of being for an entire month. Like, it's much easier to maintain what we've done in the challenge when you've been practicing every day for 30 days. And, we have 4 of these challenges a year, and they're all on different themes that mirror what we work on in the club for a reason. Because we want those threads to be kick-started. We want you to be in the habit of cultivating pleasure. That's the one we're on right now. So pleasure and following what feels good, because it is the baseline for everything else you want to create. And I would just love to see more people stepping into life by their own design. And a life that, as you say, they're obsessed with. Like, anything is possible for you. If you can dream it, you can create it. And you just have to get out of your own way and, like, stop thinking that your love can save people, because that's the fastest way to park your power. It's the fastest way to spill it and to actually never create the life of your dreams. I know that sounds extreme, but it's the truth. And we're not going to blow smoke up your ass here. Like, we're gonna tell it to you straight. Like, you want a life that feels good to be in. You can't keep running patterns that compress your power, that spill your power, that leak your power. You have to look yourself square in the face and be like, shit, I'm doing that. Ugh, it feels gross to admit, but touching the truth actually, like, expands you. It sets you free. But until you're able to fully tell the truth on yourself and your patterns, you'll stay playing them out and stay locked in them. And that just won't be a pleasurable place to be. So tell the truth. Get honest about the pattern, and then start building a pleasure pathway on the back end while you're also unwinding those patterns. You don't have to wait. In fact, I would highly recommend you do the pleasure work, because it'll help you unwind those patterns way faster. So get into the challenge. It's $30. It's a no-brainer.
It's like three coffees.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing those live bonus calls. Like, there's so much included in there, and people loved our last challenge. The results were through the roof. People were really realizing, because we like to make things complicated, and I'm like, we learn and we transform and we grow really fast through repetition and consistency, which is again why we do the challenge. Like, everything is actually done in a way and with big intention and big reason to ensure results.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you start seeing that, when you can move past that initial resistance and you can actually get into it, there's so much, and you build confidence and you build connection with yourself, and you're building this, like, oh my God, I can show up and I can do this. And that's why we make it so that you have easy wins in it. And we build upon each other. And if you're sitting here thinking like, well, it's, must be easy for you. It's like, Kelsey and I both have had the biggest dumpster fires. Like, there's no, it's kind of a miracle to even be here right now. No, I'm serious. Like
Yeah.
based on where I was, and I'm gonna start sharing more of my writing on my journey. Like even on our Club Unhinged page, you know, we were talking about like our journey because I think it's like interesting to see like it's not like I was riddled with anxiety, depression, like panic attacks, stress, overwhelm, burnout, codependency, like crippling codependency, I call it, to the point where I was like, I don't know who I am. Like, and it's to go from there. Obviously, that was my pathway to be able to, for us to teach this and for me to teach this in the way that we do. But we know what works and we know what doesn't, and that's a journey that, like, again, I would say, I'm like, nobody needs anything, nobody needs coaching, nobody needs the club, nobody needs it. You can do this on your own. But how much time, like time you're not getting back, right? And if there's a pathway that is going to take you there and skyrocket your results and have you feeling fucking good so fast, why would you not take that? What do you value, time or money, right? Like for me, I'm like, I value my time 100 times over again because I've done it a long way, and I've, you know, and then I've also invested, and I'm like, oh my God, I just learned something. I just had my coach fucking call me out, and that would have taken me probably the next 8 months to figure out on my own. If I even did.
If you even saw it, yeah.
So I think, getting yourselves in the rooms where people are doing epic shit, and I think that's another thing that's very important right now, is like a PSA, is like, do not fall victim to and use what's happening in the world as more evidence of why you can't change your life and why everything's going to shit anyways. And I've seen a big collapse right now, even with some very powerful people that I know, who are sort of falling into this like, oh, well, politics and look what's happening on the war. And I said, you know, this woman was struggling one time and just saying like, I feel it. And I'm like, yes, of course, you're empathic, you're a fucking light worker. But rather than using that as a reason to collapse and dive into the suck hole and the black hole and the quicksand that is, what if that is like the darkness trying to pull you in? I'm like, I'm stepped back. And I said, it's not that I'm being a fucking idiot and not, you know, putting my head in the sand about what's happening in the world. I said, but if I'm getting sucked into that, whether it's people or situations or politics, whatever, it's like, what is that good going to do for I'm going to use this as rocket fuel to design and build the world I want to see first within myself, and then I'm going to highlight that to others, and I'm just going to start building and focusing on my North Star of what I want to see in the world. And that is, I want people designing lives they're obsessed with, but, you know, creating their own heaven on earth and like having a great fucking time. And it is possible. It is 100% fucking possible. And AI, like all these things right now, and I'm like, let it be, like just let it, things come and go. The universe is way fucking smarter than us. It always is creating chaos and destruction, and then it's bringing in more light people to come and like show a new path. And like that's the whole part. It's the video game of life. It's like we didn't come here to have everything be fucking kumbaya. We came here to see ourselves in our power, to transform, to have this gritty, wildly sexy, unfathomable experience, to touch, taste, smell, all these things. So why are we fighting humanity so much? And let's just be in it. And even I said, she's like, but they're, you know, they're creating nuclear weapons. And I said, listen, I'm just going to say this right now. If that shit's going to happen, we're all dying.
Yeah, we're all going out anyway.
We're all going out. And I said, so rather than, I'm just going to come to terms. Do I want that to happen? No. Am I okay if it does? Sure. Because what the fuck point is it fighting that
and worrying about it? Like if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and I'm gonna trust that that's what needs to happen to the planet. Like it's just, there's a surrender and a letting go of the grip that we know what's better, and we have this God complex, and I'm like, we don't. We're these tiny, teeny little speckles on this insane, there's like multiple millions of universes. Like it's all a fucking joke. So just what do you want? What are you gonna focus on? What do you want to see in the world? And just start becoming that yourself, and stop getting fucking distracted with other people and fixing people and trying to dive in and fix things that have already been created in the 3D. It's not, it's just fighting. It's like anything we fight, we're literally bleeding out energy. Stop fighting, start building. Yeah. I don't have anything else to add to that.
I'm complete.
I'm complete too. So if you want to join our little posse of people who are literally creating heaven on earth, designing lives that they're obsessed with, and actually like being the change that they want to see in the world, get into the Pleasure Challenge, apply for the club. The doors will be open for the month of July for enrollment, and we would love to have you. And we will be back next week with part 2 of this conversation. We're not even going to tell you what it is because we want you to sit and simmer with this for a while. There's a lot of ground we covered today, so let it digest. Join us in the challenge, and we will be back next week. Bye, friends.
Love you.
All in all, we want to say thank you for being here. We love and appreciate you so much. And if you liked today, give us a 5-star rating, and we'll see you next week.
And share it. If you know somebody who needs this in their life, share this shit. Abundance goes round and round. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.